Do 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 do. Vegan prepper. Do 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 do. Vegan prepper. Hello everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here. I'm starting off the video today just sort of bringing you into a tea blend that I am creating for myself. I do basic tea blends that I tend to keep in this little container right here. It's just an old container I got at a church rummage sale. And so it's like a vintage container and I really love it. But basically I like to throw in herbs, and pretty much every single time I do, the main base of the tea is pretty much always a combo of the classic nettle and oat straw. This combination is powerful and wonderful. Nettles are so deeply nourishing. They can help with almost anything you can think of. Just, I think so much of it is because of the fact that they're so nourishing. I include them in virtually all of my tea blends. And then oat straw is wonderful. It has so many uses. It's a nervine. It literally goes and helps repair the myelin sheath in the brain on the nerves. It gives you sort of help to deal with the difficulties that you might face in life. But one of the things that's not quite known often about oat straw is it's also excellent for muscle repair. And it's really wonderful, say, like if you exercise a lot and you want to drink oat straw tea, maybe to help kind of repair your muscles and make yourself feel better. So I'm definitely putting a lot of that in since my knee surgery. Granted, I have not, it's not like exercise specifically, but I figure it's probably helpful for something like that as well. But just the general combination, right, of nettles and oat straw, that gentle rebuilding, nerve supporting, body supporting, musculoskeletal supporting power of these two herbs is so wonderful. So definitely I'm drinking a lot of that right now. This time though, I'm going to add a few extras just because I sort of feel like I want some extras. And that's, sometimes it happens that I'm like, gosh, I just want a couple of like a flavor. I'm craving something or whatever. So unfortunately, recently, just this last week, yet another person in my life has passed away. And so I've talked on the channel, if you've been on the channel, that I have had now, that makes 6 people in the last 3 months in my life that have passed away. And it's just, first of all, to be quite frank with you, I am tired of people dying. And if we could all just stop that for a while, I would be so happy. Let's put a moratorium on dying. All right, please. Oh my gosh, I just pray good health for everybody and blessings on everybody listening to my voice right now. I'm so tired of hearing that kind of news. But regardless, those of us, obviously the people who have passed on, they're fine now and they're happy and wonderful. And we are the ones left behind who have the difficulty. So one of the wonderful things about herbal medicine is not only does it help with physical ailments, but it can help with emotional ailments as well. And one of the most famously wonderful herbs for dealing with grief is actually rose. It's very much associated with the heart. Like universally across cultures, rose is associated with the heart. It's kind of amazing to me that there are certain plants, kind of no matter where you see them throughout the world, the traditions are the same. This has always been a plant that has been considered to be helpful to the heart. Now, of course, we know through scientific study that it is helpful to the physical heart, but there's also a very strong association with the emotional heart. Rose is another kind of nervine. It is also very good for grief. Any kind of grief or heartbreak, rose is a wonderful thing to have. So I'm going to go ahead and put that into my tea as just a little bit of an extra support, but it's also chock full of things like vitamin E and antioxidants and stuff. So it's helping in a physical way and in a spiritual way. The other thing I'm going to add, another wonderful heart medicine, is hibiscus. And so that's Hibiscus sabdurifa. It is Jamaican sorrel, basically. So this is my little jar that I have left of the Jamaican sorrel that I have grown myself. And so this is from my garden. I'm going to add some of this as well. It gives a wonderful tart flavor and a beautiful pink color to the tea, kind of depending on what else is in it. Sometimes there might be, or a nice rich red color as well. It sort of depends, right? If you have other plants that have a color to them, you might not always see the color as strong as you might expect, but we'll see what it looks like once it brews. I can't wait to see that. This is another great cardiovascular tonic. It helps blood circulation and blood flow and all of that, which is another really great thing for me, not just, again, for emotional issues, but again, with my knee surgery, this is a wonderful blood tonic. Nettles is another wonderful blood tonic. And so it's a great thing to help. But then also, just because I feel like I need some sweetness and some little bit of a treat in my tea, like a fun flavor, I'm going to be adding in some of this strawberry. I do strawberry tops. I've talked about this many times, but I have so many jars of strawberry tops over in my cabinet, and I just want to make sure I'm using them. So this is basically when I have organic strawberries through the summer. I like to cut, and I'm, trimming my strawberries to eat them. I like to very specifically trim them rather than just serve them whole and eat them. And then I dehydrate the tops along with the leaves. The leaves are somewhat related to red raspberry leaf. They have a little bit of the same kind of action. So strawberry leaves in themselves are medicinal and wonderful, but the strawberry tops, it's enough to give a beautiful strawberry flavor to the tea. And so I'm just going to sort of mix these all together kind of intuitively. I don't have a real plan. Like I said, the primary bulk of the tea is still going to be a half and half mixture of nettle and oat straw, but I'm going to go ahead and get that blended up and show you what it looks like when it's done. As I'm doing this, I'd like to say I tend to add everything in layers. So I've done a layer of nettle, a layer of oat straw, then the rose, then the hibiscus, and now a little bit of the strawberry. So now I'm going to do more scoops of nettle and oat straw. And so I sort of do it in layers throughout the jar. And then I will leave a bit of headspace up here, probably only go to about here, so that there's some room in the jar to sort of shake and mix. But then because I'm adding it in layers, it's going to mix much more easily than if I had done, giant chunks of ingredients, just, one at a time. I feel like this is already so lovely. It's just making me feel kind of amazing, even just looking at it here. So basically, if you want essentially a recipe, I was using a 1/8 cup scoop. That's 2 tablespoons. I was doing 2 scoops each of nettle and oat straw, which would end up being a total of 1/4 cup each. And then 1 full scoop of rose, and then probably about half a scoop of the hibiscus, and then maybe 3 or 4 of the strawberry tops per layer. And then I just repeated that same thing again, 2 scoops of nettle, 2 scoops of oat straw, 1 scoop of rose, half scoop of hibiscus, etc., etc. So, but actually, because I have so few left in this jar, I figure I'm just going to add those back to the top. And I'm going to go ahead and shake this jar, and then I will brew myself a nice big pot of beautiful, nourishing, supportive, cardiovascular, blood healing, musculoskeletal supporting, just all in all, amazingly good tea. It's apparently also good for grief and processing through some of those emotions. I did not mention it, but I wanted to go ahead and quickly mention that one of the reasons I grow this plant, for one, it grows very well here in the Phoenix area. The Hibiscus sabdurifa is a plant which is an absolutely fantastic thing to grow. It's Jamaican sorrel. You can plant it even through July in this area. It does absolutely beautifully in the summer heat. It provides these beautiful calyxes, which you turn into your hibiscus tea. It's a kind of a misconception, I think, that hibiscus tea is made of hibiscus flowers. It's not. It's made of the petals that form around the calyx that's left behind. This, it's around the seed pod once the flower has been pollinated, and then the flower falls off. Then you wait for the calyx to form, and that is what you harvest in order to make the hibiscus tea. It's also a wonderful source of these tart, delicious leaves that are really great additions to soups and salads and things. That same beautiful tart kind of hibiscus-y taste that the calyx has, the leaves kind of have that same taste. But one thing Like I said, it's very important for me to grow this myself. A lot of it is because of the fact that in planting and farming of this plant, it's often grown in Thailand, often grown especially intercropped with peanuts. It's very famously constantly intercropped with peanut plants. I guess they're companion plants. They do well together. But virtually every bulk source of hibiscus that you will see online will almost always have some sort of a warning that it may contain peanut shells. It may contain traces of peanut. And my son is allergic to peanut. And so I try to, especially if there's a tea that I'm making. And so like, this is a tea I'm going to be making for myself, but I'm going to brew it and serve it to my family as well. That's always what ends up happening, right? I make a giant pot of tea for myself and then everybody wants some, which is good, right? We want to share, but I need to make sure that all of the, what I have is safe. So if my son gets it, my son loves tea. That he is safe to have it because we're using the hibiscus that I grew and we're not using anything that has a peanut warning attached. So I just thought I'd throw that out there for anybody else who might have a peanut allergy. Or a peanut allergy themselves or in their circle. It's a really weird, random thing. Most people don't know. So I thought I would mention that. Obviously, if you have no such issues, you don't need to grow it and you can just buy hibiscus and it'll be a lot easier on you. I filled my oat straw and I got a nice little pile here that I can go and take and sprinkle onto one of my houseplants. So there was no water in the Berkey. So I had to refill it. And then while I was waiting for it to, drip, drip, drip its way to give me some water so that I could make some tea. I need quite a lot of water to make, a pretty large batch of tea. I finished a couple of Etsy orders and now I'm doing cake research. So Sage's birthday party is this weekend and then next weekend will be my godson's party. And so I was already planning on making one of those kind of tall, fancy multi-layer cakes for Sage. I'll show you what I mean in a second. I have a video on right now. I'm doing research right now. And so I was already planning on making one of those for her. She asked specifically for yellow cake and I know what she means. And so it's this really delicious vegan cake. It's like a classic kind of standard vanilla cake recipe that I use. It's like so much sugar, so much oil. It's a birthday cake, right? So I will find the recipe and link that down below. It's really delicious just as is. I make really yummy cupcakes out of it. And I've also successfully made cakes out of it. So I use that kind of as my base. And so for this yellow cake that she wants, I add crushed up lemon Oreos to the batter. And then I typically decorate the cake with more lemon Oreos and sort of just make it fancy and do flowers and stuff. And so that's what she wants. And so I'm researching that, but it's funny, my friend, my godson's mom just texted me this morning and told me that my godson wants me to make his cake for his birthday next weekend. So I'm going to be doing that too. Basically, I'm planning on doing the exact same thing, only he wants a chocolate cake. So I will find a vegan chocolate cake recipe and I'll have to, do some tests to make sure that the cake recipe is good, poor us, right? Some chocolate cake testing going on over here. And so it's such a hard life that we live, but anyway, so I will test out a couple cake recipes and make sure that I got a good one and then probably do something kind of dinosaur themed. Like my godson is into dinosaurs. And yeah, make him the same style cake, but obviously differently decorated because he wants it different. So Sage wants this yummy lemon cake thing that I make and my godson wants a chocolate cake. But basically, like I said, research right now, watching this video, I can link down below how to make a tall cake. And so it's basically using 6-inch cake layers and making one of those like super tall, awesome looking cakes that have been kind of all over social media. They're everywhere right now. This is kind of a really popular style of cake. I've never quite made one like this before, but I'm going to figure it out and I am excited to do that. I used to make a lot of pretty fancy cakes, kids, but I've sort of gotten away from that. Really kind of since I had Sage. Things were so busy, but she's getting older now and I'm getting a bit more space to breathe and kind of getting back into some of the old stuff that I used to do. So I'm really excited to be able to do that for my kids again. So anyway, yeah, I'm researching and then as soon as I have enough water, I'll make tea. I'll leave a little early. I'll mail some orders. I'll pick up Sage. We'll come home and we'll have some tea and you guys can see how it turned out. I'm sure it turned out good. So we're finally putting our Christmas decorations away. I don't know if anybody else still has theirs up, but Yeah, it's just, it's been a lot going on around here, so we don't have it quite done yet, but we just started taking the ornaments off yesterday, and then we got to pack them up, so we'll probably finish this up tonight. And I'm just currently waiting for my water to heat so that I can make my tea. Here is the large pot I like to brew my teas in now. I used to do a ton of teas in my half-gallon jars, but I have cracked so many of them that I just never do it anymore. Either I'm doing it on the stove in a pot, or I'm going to be doing it in this. I love this thing because it's insulated, so I can brew the tea and leave it, and then even a few hours later, the tea is still hot. And I really do love that. But you don't need, fancy stuff for brewing tea. Like I said, a lot of times I brew in a pot on the stove. So typically the ratio is about 1 tablespoon of tea blend for every cup of water if you want to make kind of a medicinal strength brew. And then especially because really, you want to drink maybe like a quart a day if you're going to go after some medicinal benefits of whatever tea you're drinking. And so with my family around, like I said, because I like to share, a lot of times I will brew a gallon at a time in a big saucepan on my stove. And so that works out to basically, because 1 tablespoon is per cup, and there's 16 cups in a gallon and 16 tablespoons in a cup. And so that means that you need 1 full cup of your tea for a whole gallon, or a half cup for a half gallon. This is very close to a half gallon, so there's a half cup of the tea blend that I just made over there in here. And I just heard my water go off, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get my tea or my water in there to brew my tea while I run off to pick up my daughter from school and mail some Etsy orders. To do it on the stove, you don't even need a kettle, right? You just heat up the water. Oh, a little piece of it came out. That happens sometimes. But you need to just heat up your water and put your tea in, and then I usually just will cover it with the lid and let it sit, for whatever, 45 minutes to an hour, just on the stove with the heat turned off once it starts steeping. And so you really don't need any fancy equipment whatsoever to make tea, but I do really love this thing, and I'll go ahead and link it down below. Oh wow, it's super bright and washed out. I wonder what happened. But I'll go ahead and link this thing down below. I really do, like I said, I really do love it, but you don't need anything fancy like this. Okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. It is good. The fruity, kind of rosy taste is not coming through as much as I'd hoped, but it's still a really yummy tea, and I'm sure it will be very helpful. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and make lunch for me and for Sage. We did stop at a store after I picked her up from school, and so yeah, anyway. Right, lunch is basically just a bunch of ingredients from last night's meal thrown together as a salad. So lettuce, cucumber, and tofu cubes. Last night we had tofu cubes, mashed potatoes, and salad, essentially, as our meal. Today I'm just having the salad with the tofu cubes. I put bleepin sauce on top as my dressing. And Sage is just having tofu cubes. And then later I'll cut up some fruit for her. She loves them. Everybody loves them. These are my tofu cubes. Non-vegans love these tofu cubes. I think I have a video that's like way too long on the channel of how to make these. But yeah, sorry. I'm eating. I'm hungry, okay? I'm gonna dig in. You like the tofu cubes? Yes, huh? They're good. Sage has also recently lost some teeth. Yeah. 3 total, huh? All right. Okay, Sage and I are getting ready to have a little bit of ice cream after our lunch. So the pints were on sale. They've been like $8 each, but they were on sale today. I was so excited when I saw, and Sage was actually, just as we were walking by, she goes, Mom, can we buy an ice cream? And then these happened to be on sale. I was so happy. So NadaMoo is all vegan, but the thing I really love about NadaMoo specifically is that it has so much less sugar than most other ice creams. So here you see in 2/3 of a cup. Also, most ice creams, their serving sizes are half cup sizes. And so in 2/3 cup, you get 13 grams of sugar, which is obviously still sugar, but like, again, it's not even close to as much as normal. In my other favorite vegan ice cream, it's a So Delicious cashew milk ice cream. It's like 27 grams of sugar per half cup. And so you can see that's actually quite a reduction with the NadaMoo. So I just really love the NadaMoo for that reason. This one's the same thing, 2/3 cup for 13 grams of sugar. And so we're each going to have 1 scoop each. And so we're probably going to basically hit about that amount total, right? And so it's probably about 1/3 of a cup of each. And yeah, I don't know. I just really appreciate that. And every now and then it's just nice to have a treat, and it's good to know that there are certain options that are like a little better than other options. So that's why I'm sharing that info with you. Good job. Will you give me a scoop too?
Yeah, we'll do too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yay. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and give me 1 more scoop. Awesome, thank you. Sage likes to have hers 1 at a time, so she'll come back for her second scoop later. No, don't mix them. She'll come back for hers later. I am gonna get a little more than that, but yeah. Yeah, it's so good. It doesn't taste like it has less sugar either. It's still super sweet, super amazing. So 10 out of 10 recommend the NadaMoo. Alright, so another little project that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I'm going to finally do it today. I am making an infused herbal agave syrup. So it's pretty typical to do an herbal honey infusion, and I have done this before. I've done lavender honey infusions, and I know I'm vegan. I still use honey. I've talked about this a lot on the channel. I don't feel like talking more about it right this second. But the reason I'm specifically choosing agave syrup over honey is because agave syrup is so much thinner than honey, and honey tends to crystallize. And I'm hoping for this to be a beautiful kind of flavorful infusion for teas, or, you know, whatever, like maybe as a little drizzle glaze over a dessert or something like that. So also another reason that I love to use agave for a liquid sweetener at certain times is agave syrup is very easily mixed even into cold drinks, and you can't say the same for honey. And so it'll mix either way. So even if it's like a cold cocktail and you'd like to mix a little, or a mocktail or whatever, and you'd like to mix a little rose flavoring in there, that's kind of what I'm hoping this is going to turn into. Also, like I said, this is thinner and honey will crystallize, but also the agave syrup, I think, has a very gentle flavor profile, just extremely similar to essentially a sugar syrup. And so it doesn't really have a lot of its own flavor, whereas of course honey does. And so honey kind of always has a honey flavor. And so I don't really want that either. And so this is just my first time ever trying to do this type of an herbal infusion with agave syrup instead of honey. And I'm hoping that it will work out well. I don't really have any reason to believe that it wouldn't, but basically, if you're going to do an herbal infused honey or syrup, in this case agave syrup, what you do is you start with a jar that you fill half full of your herbs. So in this case, I've got rose petals and buds. And so this is a pint jar. So I went ahead and put 1 cup of rose petals in here. So then we're going to fill it up basically, you know, relatively close to the top. And then let that sit for 4 to 6 weeks, and it will become a beautiful flavored agave syrup. The other thing I'm thinking about for this is as potential Mother's Day gifts, like for some of my friends or whatever, girlfriends. I'm sort of starting off with a really small batch just to sort of see how does it turn out. And if it turns out well, I hope I can make kind of a bigger batch and distribute it amongst my friends like in small, attractive little bottles and stuff. So anyway, that's kind of the idea that I have. I was just going to have it start here. So we'll pour it over. I have a chopstick here. We'll kind of poke in there to make sure everything gets nice and covered. Let it sit for a while and then kind of top it off if necessary. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. All right. Oh yeah, this is so much thinner and easier than honey, but oh my gosh, look how pretty that is already. Oh my gosh. It feels like magic. It's so beautiful. Just gonna go ahead and make sure all of that gets mixed in. So go ahead and get back in there. You can see how thin it is, I think. Yes, you can. Let me put a little bit more in. Whew. All right. So if you don't have a gallon of agave syrup like I do, obviously you can purchase it in most stores. I think the next best option would probably be Costco. They have, you know, pretty nice sized agave syrup bottles that are not too expensive. It's like sometimes you find a store, especially like Whole Foods or whatever, and the bottle will be so small and it'll be really expensive, so it's not necessarily the best choice. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and maybe it would be better to get a spoon. I'm just making a big mess, but yeah, you guys get the general idea. And yeah, it'll sit for 4 to 6 weeks, and hopefully we have a beautiful rose flavored syrup that I can add to things, and yeah, hopefully it all works out. I decided to screw the lid on as tightly as I could, and then just turn the jar upside down to hopefully get that, what was at the top, to kind of go through again. And it's just so pretty. I wanted to show you. If the agave syrup thing ends up working out, I'm gonna make a video on it. So watch for in like a month or so to see if there is a video, and hopefully there will be, because hopefully it will work. I'm really looking forward to it. The other thing I would like to share with you guys really fast, or another thing, it's not the only thing, is I've recently discovered these soap thins. So this is the particular type that I decided to purchase because it's all in cardboard. They have ones that are in plastic, but let me go ahead and show you what they are so that you don't have to wonder what they are. Some of them, like I said, come in a plastic thing. If you've ever seen Listerine strips, that's essentially what these are, only they're soap. But don't put them in your mouth. It's just, I'm saying, like, it's like a dry form of this. And so I am putting these into my toilet bucket. I'll explain the toilet bucket in just a second for anybody who doesn't know, but see, like, it's just this thin strip. I've already, you know, it's slightly see-through. It smells nice. So the idea is you cup this in your hand, like a dry hand. I've already used one. It worked really well. Run water into your hand with this in here, and then with the other hand that's dry, I read in comments, this is like the way they say to do it. So this one will have wetness, like water, and the soap kind of cupped in your hand like this, and then with your dry hand start rubbing, and you'll end up with a really rich lather, and you'll be able to wash your hands. So it's like actual soap, and you can just carry it around with you, and there's 50 per pack, and I just think these are the handiest thing ever. So I will link these down below. You don't have to go through my link or anything, just look up soap thins or whatever, little dry soap strips, I think is what I originally searched. I'm putting these, like I said, into my toilet bucket. So I have a bucket that has all kinds of toilet things in it for when we go on little road trips, because you never know the state of the bathrooms that you might encounter. Especially, we go to a lot of, you know, like trailheads and places where the bathroom is really just a toilet stuck over a pit in the ground, right? And there's no running water, there's no facilities or anything. So we have always gone in the toilet bucket. I think I have a whole video on the toilet bucket. There's toilet paper in there, obviously, because half the time the toilet paper will be gone. There are Clorox wipes in the toilet bucket for those times when you just come upon a disaster that you we have some stories. There are like the dish, like doing dish gloves, rubber gloves for like doing dishes, but I have those in the toilet bucket in case, again, you run into some disaster, something where you need to clean up before you can go. And then there's also hand sanitizer for obviously sanitizing your hands, because there's no option for washing your hands. Although I have often wished that we had soap instead. I haven't wanted to carry soap with me because I was always kind of thinking to myself, like, what happens if it gets out or it gets on something or it's a bit inconvenient to carry soap, even like in bar form, because once it's wet, what do you do with it once it's wet? You put it in a bag, then you have to try to remember to take care of it. I want, and there's also plastic bags in the toilet bucket for dealing with whatever, you might have. That thing has come in handy so often. I love it. I highly recommend everybody who does any kind of traveling or anything like that, get yourself a toilet bucket, put it together. But I'm going to throw these in there as well. Super handy. It didn't use very much water at all when I tested it, for being able to wash my hands and have actual soap. So this is fantastic. And I've already given one to my son. He was excited. He said that a lot of times the bathrooms at the school are out of soap, and so it's going to come in real handy. I have one in my purse already. I already put one in Adam's truck. I already gave one away, and then into the toilet bucket. So we have 8 of them. I think it was $9 for this. And so like I said, I will link this specific one down below, but there are a lot of options and you can search it out yourself if you want to. That's kind of the main stuff I wanted to share. I'm going to be making bread here. And I don't know if you can hear, I technically already put the bread in the bread machine, so you're going to see some video that's going to be slightly out of order, but that's okay. The bread machine is going now. It's kind of like my last project before I feel like I can just for tonight, for dinner, doing very simple dinner. A lot of stuff has been simple. I've been doing a lot of combining of cooking dinner with a sort of meal prep type thing. So like today I was able to make a really easy lunch out of what I had left over yesterday. I'm kind of doing that over and over again. So tonight we're going to have an Instant Pot full of potatoes, which my son is going to do for me. He's going to scrub all of those and get them in the Instant Pot at like 5 or so, cook them for 16 to 17 minutes. I think it's going to be more like 17 minutes because the potatoes we have right now are quite large. It's normally 16, so we'll add a minute to make sure the potatoes get all the way cooked. The other Instant Pot is going to have beans in it. I've decided to do pinto beans because my son's favorite beans are pinto beans, so we're going to go ahead and just do pinto beans. Also, I was thinking I would do roasted vegetables, but I'm realizing I don't think that I can do roasted vegetables because I'm going to be baking rolls at the same time. Like I said, my bread dough is in there. I just use the basic yeast bread out of this book, which I just adapt to be vegan, and then I turn it into rolls. You're gonna see a little bit of that footage soon. And so I'm gonna be baking those rolls. So I think instead of roasted vegetables tonight, I think we're just gonna do smoothies to go with our dinner, so I don't have to cut stuff up and make salad. I'm trying to work really hard on simplifying things and simplifying my life, and not everything has to be fancy all the time. It's kind of a realization I'm coming to lately. I'm pondering a lot of kind of big, heavy things lately. Like I had shared earlier, I've had several people die in a very short span of time. I've also had 2 surgeries in a very short span of time, and being kind of forced to slow down and forced to, I'm not able to do everything that I have been able to do in the past at times. And so having to get really strategic about what it is I'm doing and how can I set myself up for a little less work in the future. I'm finding though that the more I simplify, the simpler I do things, the more helpful it is. But also weirdly, the more nutritious our food is getting, as I'm not doing a lot, trying to make everything from scratch still, but do it in the most simple way possible. And that's been really nice. It's just been a really nice thing to kind of break away from this sense that I need to wow people or do stuff. I was thinking this morning, kind of pondering something that was kind of heavy, kind of not, I don't want to talk about everything, you know, I've got a lot of thoughts going on in my head right now that I'm like kind of trying to make sense of, and decisions that I'm making about myself and my own life kind of moving forward. And I had this thought kind of just flit through my mind. Just simply, it was, it doesn't have to be difficult to be valid. And that hit me and it went, ooh, like, I feel like I'm gonna sit on that one for a really long time. Because I definitely feel, I don't know if other people feel that too, like there is this belief inside where it's like, if I don't put forth a lot of effort, then it's not good, or it's not like worthy or whatever of, I don't know, worthy of something. I don't know. It's like, it doesn't feel important, or it doesn't feel good enough if I haven't put in a lot of effort. And it's like, it can be easy and still be valid. Like, it doesn't have to be difficult to be a valid effort. Like it's like, I can't, like, if I have the option for things to be easy and nice, like, it's okay for it to be easy and nice. Like, anyway, so I feel like I've had this kind of new revelation, realization. And I'm just sort of going to keep pondering that and moving forward with that. That, you know, like, gosh, obviously we will face difficult times in our lives, but holy moly, like if we can just choose to, like, step back and make things a little easier on ourselves, why wouldn't we? You know, I don't know, like, I have one precious life, as I'm very well aware right now. Like, oh my gosh. Again, just stop. We're gonna have a moratorium on dying. No more dying, okay? You're not allowed. You're just not allowed. And nobody else, okay? But, you know, we have one precious life, and I have only one shot at this one precious day. And it's like, I don't have to make it complicated. It doesn't have to be difficult. Is there any way that I can make something simpler or easier, and then I don't feel any guilt about it? No guilt. Like, I'm allowed to live a peaceful, happy life of ease when it's possible. Obviously, there's still insanity going on. I have to drive kids here and there to rehearsals and all. Like, there's still all the stuff that's going on that's normal, that normally does go on. But it's like, gosh, I'm allowed to, I don't know. It's allowed to be easy. So anyway, anywhere where it can be easy, it's allowed to be easy. And I'm speaking that to you too. So, all right. It just reminds me how I was thinking of, like, yeah, having to do the rolls and then all that stuff. Like, because I feel like I could crash. I'm pretty tired. It ends up being tiring walking around on my crutches. Thank God I'm down to one crutch now. But it's still more tiring to walk with crutches than not, you know? Anyway, sorry for anybody who yawns when you see other people yawn. But yeah, I'm pretty tired. I could sleep for sure. I could take a little nap right now, but, I can't right now because I have some other things to do. And I get that feeling, and I keep thinking to myself of that poem, by Robert Frost. The one that ends, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep. And I just think about that when I feel like this, like, I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep, and, you know, keep going. And then eventually you do get to rest. But I'm definitely becoming more intentional about, since I've had it be kind of a requirement with the 2 surgeries, like required to rest, right? I have become much more intentional about building rest into my day. And it's been really nice. Like, I'm still accomplishing things, but like I said, it doesn't always have to be difficult. Like, I don't have to be hard on myself. It's good enough to do it simply. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be something that I could show off to somebody and have somebody say, whoa, that's so awesome. Like, it just doesn't have to be that. Like, it can just be beans and potatoes and rolls from home milled flour and a smoothie instead of a salad, and it's good. So anyway, it's kind of what I wanted to share and talk about. And I think that that's going to be it from me as far as just like filming, live, talking and whatnot. So in case I, oh gosh, sorry guys. In case I don't see you again. I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. I hope you got something good out of this video. And yeah, you have permission to rest. You have permission to make things easier and simpler on yourself, okay? I'm just giving that to you. Anyway, I don't know if you need it or not, but I figured I'd say it. Okay, so I'm gonna make some rolls. I'll show you and then probably give you a shot of our dinner and I'm gonna go. But seriously, these things are so cool. Maybe I'll give you a shot of me washing my hands with one of these. That would be awesome. Okay. All right, see you guys next time. Bye. I lied. Here's the toilet bucket. I mean, I lied about leaving and not talking to you anymore. I just realized the toilet bucket is literally sitting right next to where I'm filming. So here it is. Okay. So it's just this little kind of old mayonnaise bucket we got from one of my chef friends. See, it's literally an old mayonnaise bucket. And so he is a chef at a local resort and was kind of like, I have a bunch of these. Do you want any? And I was like, yes. And so, yes, we took some. But anyway, like I said, we've got toilet paper in here, Clorox wipes, the dishwashing gloves that kind of go up the arms a bit, hand sanitizer, that's what that is, and some pads in here, even though I use a cup and I'm, pretty awesome with that. There's, you just never know the conditions. I may not feel comfortable depending on what's around, what I've touched. I may rather put a pad in instead of reinserting the cup. Sorry if it's TMI, but there's just situations for that. But also I have had, a few times when I've been able to give a pad to somebody who needed something. So I have those in there for that reason as well. And then obviously a plastic bag for dealing with trash. Make absolutely sure that this bag does not have holes. So only hole-free bags will go into the toilet bucket. And then I have just tossed my soap thins in so that we also now have some soap that we can use with a little bit of bottled water. And that just lives in our little area over here, kind of where all of my stuff is, near where I film. And every time before we leave to go on even a short road trip or like a camping trip or whatever, this bucket is ready for us. I close the lid, whatever. You know what I mean? It's close the lid, whatever. This bucket, just grab it and toss it in the back of the car, toss it in the back of the truck, and we're ready to go. So a couple times ago, we did end up having to use those gloves and the Clorox wipes, and it was pretty bad. So then those got replaced, like as soon as we got home. I've got spares of everything that is in this bucket so that I can replace it when we get home. But yeah, that is the gist of the toilet bucket. Now you don't have to watch my other video.
Oh, that was a lot. That's just a lot. So let's add some water to the blue. That looks a lot. Pour some in. And then add some blue. Here. Water.
Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.